New contender is here. What have you got that the Miliband brothers and Ed Balls haven't got?
Well, I'm not part of the new Labour faction that's been in power for the last 13 years, so I think I'm a clean break with it.
But it would be, it certainly would be. I mean, why on earth would the party choose a man who in 13 years of your party being in government hasn't had a ministerial job?
Because I've got widespread experience outside of politics and in politics itself, but also because actually I stand for the policies that have been adopted by the Labour Party conference itself. So I think they have confidence in the policies I'm advocating.
What's your sense of why you lost the election?
I think we've lost the trust of the British people on a whole series of issues. We have a coalition that comes together whenever we get elected, and we've systematically alienated section by section of that coalition. Young people with tuition fees, public sector workers with privatisation, the trade unionists by lack of giving them trade union rights. So people have really just, I think, lost confidence in us.
You didn't mention Iraq there, and
well,
you voted against the Iraq war, didn't you?
I did. There's people who always saw us as a party of peace, and it did alienate a large number of people. And I think Afghanistan's doing exactly the same thing. The same with Trident. If you look at that broad coalition that we normally put together, as I say, we've systematically alienated section by section, and unfortunately at this last election, although I think a large number of people came and voted for us to keep the Tories out, they didn't do it with any real confidence that a Labour government was on their side anymore.
Are you confident this time you've got any chance of getting enough signatures?
Oh, it's really difficult. I think it's really going to be tough because they've sort of rigged the system from the beginning. You need 33 nominating, which is quite a large hurdle. Then the Labour Party hierarchy told us this time around there wouldn't be a coronation, they'd welcome a range of candidates and there'd be plenty of time to have a real debate. But what they've done now is they've basically said nominations are going to take place in 4 days next week, and if you don't get the nomination, then that's it, you're off the ballot paper. I think that we're just shooting ourselves in the foot yet again. What is this problem with democracy that New Labour have got? I just don't understand it.
Well, I suppose they think there's a bit of urgency about it.
Well, we're going to take 4 months before we decide. We're not going to decide the leader until September. What they could do, and I've written to the other candidates tonight to ask them to support me on this, extend the nomination period, say to about 4 weeks or 6 weeks. That will enable MPs to get back to their constituencies, consult their members. We'd then have the debate, then the nominations would be in, then we'd go to ballot. And we'd still have the same timetable.
David Miliband was sitting in that chair the other night.
I saw him.
And he talked about Tony Blair, a barrister, Gordon Brown, a university lecturer. He had some difficulty in finally defining what he was in a word or two, and he said, yeah. I think, Labour MP. What would you say yours was?
Look, when I left school, I went on the shop floor. I then worked in local government as a chief executive. I was then a trade unionist. I'm a worker, that's what I am, with a wide range of experience in public and private sector, and I'm not a policy wonk, but I've been involved in politics long enough to know the administration of government.
John McDonnell, thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Thanks. Well, now a roundup of some of today's other news. Our main story tonight, Newsnight has learned the Liberal Democrats are trying to claim for money due to opposition parties despite being part of the government.
Look,